Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm your host, John F. Thomas. Welcome to the JT Effect. And before we get started, I want everybody that's tuning in to make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and make sure that everybody can see this. Share this video. So we're about to be back in. Just give me 1 minute, and we'll be ready to go.
Talk to me, just share with me your thoughts. Don't be afraid to talk to me and show me who you are. I wanna know. Talk to me.
It's the JT effect. Nothing else can make you feel like that. It's the JT effect. Nothing else can make you feel like that.
Talk to me. Just
Hey, welcome back to the JT Effect. I am here to talk about a lot of things. Again, make sure you're hitting the like button and feel free to subscribe to the Black Boss channel. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a special guest with me here today, Mr. Frank W. Johnson. We haven't seen him here in a while, but I'm glad to have him back, man. How are you doing? Doing all
Oh
right?
man, I'm doing the best that I can. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm gonna go probably give me a workout in a couple of hours. I'm doing the best that a black person can do, in this country right now. So
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you, man. A lot has been happening. With recent news, I guess I'll just hop right into it. And for everybody that's tuning in, Frank Johnson, he is a guest that was on my show before. He is a teacher and activist in Memphis, Tennessee. And so, really great guy. Um, he has his ear to the streets. He's in the streets. He's talking to a lot of different people that he knows like what's going on within with everything that's happening. So recently, there was this week a lot of pro-Trump supporters went to Capitol Hill, right? So and they basically stormed the Capitol. I just want to get your thought on just that in general. What are your thoughts on what happened? Because a lot of people initially are saying like, man, if they were black, this thing wouldn't have happened at all. They wouldn't have been able to just go in there and do whatever they want, and bullets would have been fired out. What are your thoughts on that?
my thoughts are everything that you just said. We already know what would have happened. I mean, we've seen their response in D.C. when Black Lives Matter protesters showed up. They showed up basically with an army. We know what would have happened. We know that they allowed these people to come in and storm the Capitol. And let me preface this by saying something. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that the population, the people in this country, do need to storm the Capitol. We do need to get in these people's faces. But what was allowed to happen, that's white privilege. At its, I mean, at its, I mean, this was white privilege, completely. You don't just walk into Washington, D.C. and storm these state buildings and storm, these historic buildings where the Senate and the Congress meet. That's exactly what it was. It was white privilege. And we would have been met with all types of resistance, gunfire, tanks. I mean, we did it. They thought that we were going to attempt to shut down the bridge last summer. They had the National Guard staged by the pyramid.
Hmm. Okay. With Jonathan, we just have brought you in here. Jonathan, he is the founder and president of Dauntless Tactical Training Centers of America. A very, very smart brother. I really appreciate really having you both on here. Thank you so much. I know this was kind of last minute for the two of you, but Jonathan, I want to ask your opinion on what happened with all of these pro-Trump supporters. They went to Capitol. They went to the Trump rally in a sense, and Trump said, "Hey, I'm going to go there with you," and well, he wasn't there to be found, but they ended up storming the Capitol. And a lot of people are saying that if these people were black or brown or whatever, that really wouldn't have happened. Bullets would have been fired out. Are you seeing it from that standpoint, or do you see something else? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, John, and what's happening, Frank? It's good to see you,
What's going on,
and
Jeff?
it's good to see both of you all in
Let me
good
mic
health.
myself
So,
up.
what'd you say? Yeah, it's good to see you both in good health. Um, that's a blessing. I just came from a funeral, and I haven't seen so many fresh graves in my life. So anytime we can see each other, that's a great thing. My thoughts on Washington in relation to Black people is kind of real simple. Uh, the United States government does not bring power or force against people who are considered powerful and forceful themselves, and who are backed by people who have arms and are powerful and willing to use force. I think you have to understand that number one, the country was founded through violence, and there are people. And first, I'll say this here: I do believe that what happened in Washington was tragic, but at the same time, I do understand what happened there. There is in my opinion, a natural right of insurrection, and the existence of the United States of America is proof that there is a natural right of insurrection, because the very founding of this country was based on sedition and insurrection and violence and revolution against power and authority and government that the people at that time did not agree with. So I think what we saw was an impromptu version of the exercise of the natural right of insurrection. And I think because really in this country, obviously we have a majority population that is Caucasian, and then we have a bunch of individual minority groups but the majority population is white. And of that white population, you basically have two types of white people. You have those people who are descendants of the founders of this country, descendants of the people who fought in the Civil War, and they look at the country in a way that is completely different than the other group of white people, which is the other group of white people are the people who migrated to the country after the Civil War, after and during the Industrial Revolution and during the early 1900s. And so they look at the rights of revolution and insurrection completely differently than the prior group of white people that I discussed. And so as a result of that, you have, I think, a disconnect in the fundamental understanding or fundamental reading of the enumerated rights in the Constitution, the processes in the Constitution, the right to be heard in the Constitution, and the right to bring lawsuits, the right to not only peaceably assemble, but the right to, in a sense, violently assemble, because the Second Amendment, by saying the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, literally enshrines that the people must have the right to always be violent with the government, that the government does not have the monopoly on violence. And so should the people at any given time decide, according to the Ninth Amendment and the 10th Amendment, to pull back any right that has not been enumerated to the states or to the federal government, to pull back any right back to the people, those people feel like they're going to exercise it. And so I think what we saw in DC is a large subsection of the voting population, which represents a large percentage of the white population, deciding they have not been heard, and they have not been heard. they feel like that they have not gotten due process of law, even though people may say, well, you know, they're all of the court cases about the voting and things have been debunked. I think many of those people would not say that their theories or their thoughts about the election have been debunked. They would say that things are still debatable and that they have not gotten real due process. And so since they don't think that they've really been heard, they went to Washington to be heard, to use the House of Representatives, I think, as another part of due process of law. Because here's the thing, the House of Representatives can do what it wants to do. Representatives can say what they want to say and make whatever arguments that they want to make on the floor and try to compel other people to their side to examine things again. But in terms of the response, I think you got a couple of things. Number one, I think that, as I said, I think government as a whole generally is not going to fire upon white people because they know if they slaughter white people, they slaughter dozens, hundreds of dozens, or thousands of white people. Behind those white people dispersed all throughout the country are hundreds of thousands and millions of other very well-armed white people who will bring their arms to bear and tell the government, no, we're not going to allow that. And so I think it is a general governmental philosophy in the United States is that, no, you don't bring power against white people, especially those who are the descendants of the founding group and the slaveholding group. You don't bring that power because they will remind you that insurrection is a natural right. In contrast, Black America, we are number one, we are divided amongst ourselves. The super majority of us do not exercise the right to bear arms, and we certainly don't exercise the right to bear powerful arms. And so we don't have a collective mindset that says we are going to force the government to reckon with us or to negotiate with us, versus that we are always going out to the government, begging the government to do something. And we say, oh, we'll withhold our money or we'll withhold our vote. But we found that the people in power really don't give a darn about our money, and they don't care about our vote. And we don't have any type of militaristic power amongst our people group. And so therefore, we are not a people to be respected. So when you have a law enforcement officer on the street, he feels that he can, if he has bigotry and racism in his heart, he feels that he can treat a Black person or any other person of color in this country any kind of way with impunity, and that our community will only do it at best. We will rise up, march, and protest, but we won't show up and say we're going to slaughter you if you do this wrong thing. White America, that portion of white America who literally, when they say from my cold bare dead hands, or when they literally say that the tree of liberty must be watered or refreshed with the blood of tyrants and patriots, they, as Killmonger said, they mean that shit. I mean, excuse my French, but they mean that. They literally mean that when they say that. And so they mean that they will kill for their rights and they would die for their rights, because they don't just look at their rights just for them. They look at it for their posterity. And I think the holders of power in this country, both white and Black, respect that fact. Those are my thoughts on it.
Okay. And for everybody that's tuning in, please make sure that you are hitting the like button and subscribing and put B1, because we are in this space. We are Black first before Republican. I'm Black first before I'm a Democrat. I'm Black first before Libertarian. I'm Black first before anything. So put hashtag B1 or just B1 if you agree with that philosophy. It doesn't mean that we don't care about other communities or other people, but these are our concerns. These are we need a space where we can talk about what concerns us as a community, because we constantly put so many people before us. We have to talk about us first before we start talking about other people and what that means for other groups and how we can help other groups. We have to talk about what helps the Black community. Be one first. So, Frank, I want to hear your thoughts in response to what Jonathan was just saying. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't have pretty much a rebuttal for Jonathan. I mean, like we do have these racial divides, but at the same time, he's right. We have to, like what we saw. It's typical, but at the same time, we have to learn how to be a force to be reckoned with. In this country, like what Jonathan said, we are not. There was a time when we were raising up with arms, and they were, in fear of us, and we've allowed a political class to come in and kind of pacify us, and not only pacify us, but basically take a lot of our soldiers and put them in jail. Because they don't subscribe to the bow down, and we can only get power one certain way. So yeah, I agree with a lot of what Jonathan said. And I do believe that white supremacy is rampant, but I do think that we do need to arm ourselves and become more aggressive in what we're trying to do as far as taking power in this country. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So,
Me and Jonathan have even had these conversations. We've had a couple talks about this because I don't subscribe to, and I think I told you this a few months ago when I was on with you. And you notice at the beginning of the call, I preface it by saying, I don't like the way they came to DC, because of, they felt that, something didn't work out their way. But I do agree with the fact that we need to be in these folks' faces. We need to be in these government officials' faces, letting them know, well, you up here screwing with us. We can come put our hands on you anytime we want to. And that's both parties. Because both parties are both tied to this corporate agenda. They are both making profits while people suffer. And for too long, people have been quiet in this country. Now, right now in France, the police officers in France, a couple of months ago, they beat a Muslim guy. And then they tried to pass a law to make it illegal for you to videotape the police. And those people in France who are already in the street went back out in the street, made so much noise, even went after the police officers. And what did the government officials over there do? Oh, well, we're going to reevaluate that law. That's what we have to really get back to in this country. And really, as Black people, one of the things that we have gotten into is being too passive. And only thinking that the way to power and the way to change this stuff is either through voting or just being nice. And that's not going to happen. And it never has.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that in the sense of where, it's funny in comparison to when we had our protest last summer. And a lot of people were, we were marching in the streets, and the response from police, from our politicians, it was kind of, from politicians, it was kind of lackadaisical. Oh, we'll take Aunt Jemima off, we'll take Uncle Ben off, and things like that. But what really changed outside of them putting Black Lives Matter on the street? Like, that's not doing anything for me. There's symbolism besides taking Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben off. I mean, that's nice, but there's symbolism. There were no tangibles to be given to us, and no real change has happened. Now, in comparison, and we're just like Jonathan was saying earlier, we're out there marching and in a sense still begging, please don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot, showing, hey, I'm defenseless, don't shoot, and then they shoot you with rubber bullets, and they mace you and they beat you over the head with a nightstick. They don't care. So and they're showing that, and they're even putting people in corners, arresting them. But if you look over to this, and like I was on the panel earlier, and I was saying this is an unpopular opinion, I feel as though you can always learn something. And from what happened on Capitol Hill, although I might not, in a sense, agree with how they did it, but if you look at what they did, they didn't go in the streets, they didn't go start marching and we don't like the Trump, the election fraud election. They didn't do that. They went straight to the powers that be and had them running and scared. And there's a lesson to be learned out of that. Why, with Black people, why do we always have to feel like we have to ask for something, when especially something that we deserve? I can't sit here and ask you, for like, hey, can you please respect me? Can you please not shoot me? Are you an adult or are you a child? So and I feel as though power only respects power. If you are coming from a place where you don't have any power, I won't respect you, and I'm going to treat you like a child, and I'm going to enact laws and do things that keep you in that child position until you get up and start acting like an adult and having that power to take that power back. And just like this group of people, where they said, "Hey, we're," I mean, we're not going to take it. Like in this song, no, they were serious, and they went out there and they struck fear into those politicians' hearts. So I feel like there's something to be learned from that. Jonathan, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. So I don't know if you all recall, but back in around like 2014, 2015 or so, there was a rancher I think in Texas or Arizona named Alvin Bundy. Was it Alvin Bundy or Cliven Bundy? Rather.
It was Bundy, the Bundy
yeah,
Ranch.
Cliven Bundy.
Yeah.
Right.
Cliven
And
Bundy,
he had a dispute with the federal government about the use of some land that his family had been grazing cattle on for 125 years or what have you. And the government started taxing him about this land. And so he had a dispute, and he decided that, he wasn't going to pay the tax or what have you. And make a long story short, the government came in and tried to apprehend his cattle, and he and his family resisted. And so as a result of that, the federal government sent federal agents, marshals and other agents, armed agents, to his property. And thousands of white militiamen from all over the country converged on the Bundy Ranch in support of him. And they basically pointed their guns at the federal agents, and they had a standoff for about 60 days or so. And the federal government backed down from that. And ultimately, they ended up taking Cliven Bundy and his family to court on charges on that, and they were found not guilty on that. The government, because these guys were exercising their rights, and the government realized when they had the firepower to bring it back on them, the government backed up off of that because they recognized there wasn't going to be a slaughter. That if there were a slaughter, then this country could face the same types of in a sense, terror in response that the country faced after the Waco incident, after the Ruby Ridge incident, which actually galvanized again that same community that I were talking about. So now let's look at that as in contrast. Let's go to the Ferguson when the gentleman was killed in Ferguson, Missouri, and our community and the Ferguson and the St. Louis community were up in arms about that. And what did we have? We had a militarized police force that was the sheriff's department and the police department from there, militarized police force in the face of people legitimately protesting, and they were threatened with violence. Legitimate protests were threatened with violence. You want to know what didn't happen? Thousands of Black men did not show up from around the country, rolling up 55 and 57 over to St. Louis and Ferguson to show or to tell or put in the face of the sheriff's department and the police department, we're not going to allow you to sit here and stand here in this militarized fashion to intimidate our people with the threat of violence. Now, here's the reality. Black people, Black men and women, have the right to travel across the country with their firearms and stand in front of the police officers in peaceful fashion, in armed fashion, to let them know, we're not going to let you get jiggy with it, because if you get jiggy with it, it's going to be something else. So therefore, you must stand here. If you're going to be here, you better be respectful of our people. You're not going to be shooting them with rubber bullets. You're not going to be throwing tear gas and things. In fact, the fact that we're here to protect these people. So therefore, we don't need you here to protect these people. Go home, go on across the way and mind your business. You see, But no, because they know that thousands of black men are not going to do what the thousands of white men did at the Bundy Ranch, that we're not going to get in our cars and, like I said, drive up 55 and 57 and shoot on over there, to stand in solidarity with our people. They know that they can treat us any kind of way, and they can do it with impunity.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter whether or not we withhold our dollar, because there's only so many dollars you can withhold. You still got to get food from the grocery store. We don't own the means of production of in sourcing our own food. We don't own industry, so we can't just redistribute the wealth of industry and say we're on perpetual strike or what have you. No, we are a people who are dependent in every way. In fact, we don't even leverage the institutions that we control, which are churches and sororities and fraternities. We don't even leverage those institutions to create things like venture capital funds that will fund our people. We are ever dependent. And so, when you're ever dependent, the agents of power and the bureaucrats behind the agents of power can treat you as a people group any old kind of way.
And so, Frank, what are your thoughts? I know you have to leave pretty soon. Do you have anything that you want to add to that, or I don't know? What are your thoughts?
Jonathan said it clearly. We and the crazy thing is me and Jonathan, we've had this chat before. And one of the things that we don't do, and we've been conditioned not to, but we don't engage that part of our population that's armed. It's like we're almost afraid to, and we've been conditioned to say that, we don't need to engage them. We've been conditioned to believe that our only way out of this is through voting, and and they just show you, how more and more that they can manipulate the vote and do all these other things. Like, John, what I told you a few months ago, what I noticed during the last presidential election, when people were bringing constructive critique of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, what happened? You started getting beat over the head for not lying on what Biden has done, but bringing up his damn record for the last almost 50 years. And what they did was they trolled and they marched black people out to critique the black people that were bringing up legitimate critique. And so again, we have the gatekeepers in our community that only feel that our way. Because even in the 60s, you had an armed side of us too. You had your Malcolm X's, you had your Black Panthers, you had all the other kind of stuff. We don't even engage. We got groups here in Memphis that are on that, but they don't even get contacted. They don't even get reached out to. So it's like, what can you do in this situation when we've been so conditioned, to only view our liberation in one way? And we see that one way is not working. And what we also find is the people that's telling us to do that are getting their pockets lined by the power structure to actually keep us pacified, to keep us in, the situation that we're in, to keep us begging with our hand out. Now, I'm all for, peaceful resolution, but I also know by American history that you got to get up arms, and sometimes you're going to fight. And people are going to get hurt. Yeah, it's going to get ugly. It has never been pretty, and it's never been easy. But we, again, just back to Jonathan said, we do have to show force. We do have to engage these populations that are quote unquote militant. Because guess what? You're not going to win a war without engaging your army.
Hmm.
You're just not going to do it. And then show me again in American history where there's ever been peace, whatever changes never come by being nice. It has never come unless you show force. Yeah, Martin Luther King was talking about peace, but behind Martin Luther King, what did you have? You had Malcolm X that was threatening these neo-Nazis, saying, let some harm come to Martin Luther King, or I'm going to come down there and I'm going to show my whole ass on you. You had the Black Panthers gaining power. And when they showed up in Sacramento in Ronald Reagan's governorship, what did he do? They responded. Oh, God, we can't even do this. Oh, God, they showing up militant. We have, I'm with Jonathan on that. They have taken control of all of the means of production. And even the work that I'm trying to do now, trying to get us actually off that and to build stuff in the neighborhood, when you go before these so-called black representatives, the first thing they want to do is connect you, with the back with the white power structure, that what you're trying to get away from. So I mean, you have to show force in this, and I'm in agreement with Jonathan on that. I just am.
So I have. Do you have a few more minutes, or do you have to
Yeah.
go? Okay, so I'll go ahead and throw this question over to you, Frank. And before I do that, everybody that's tuning in, please make sure you're hitting the like button. You're subscribing to the Black Boss channel. We have a lot of good stuff on this channel where we're talking about issues like this, political issues, social issues, economic issues, even sports. We have Jeff Licey Jr. on here that's talking sports from a Black perspective. So we need our Black media. We need our Black channels. And it helps when you hit this like button, when you share this so that other people can see this, that this can get out there, because you're not hearing this on mainstream media. They don't want to talk about Black agendas and really the truth. They don't want to show the truth. It's really, I'm going to tell you what we want you to hear. And that's mainstream media. But in this space, we're talking about all kind of things and from a Black perspective, and also introducing other lines of thought, because we're not a monolith in thinking, in a sense. There are conservative Black people and there are liberal Black people. Neither of them are wrong. We can come together and create some amazing things. So don't let them think that, oh, if you're a conservative, oh, bad, oh, they're bad people. Or if you're a liberal, oh, they're bad. No, that's not this space. B1, type in B1 if you're Black first. That's what this space is. So, Frank, I'll go ahead and throw this question to you. So, recently, Twitter basically permanently banned Donald Trump, and I think Facebook as well. I believe maybe YouTube. I'm not really sure. And a lot of people are extremely happy. I'm not even going to lie. Initially, I was just like, yeah, good, because I'm just be completely honest here. I was just like, good, because he's just talking kind of reckless and getting these people fired up. He's a manipulator. He's a master manipulator. But also, as time went on, I was sitting there thinking, like, wait, that's not really a good thing per se, and to me, because I was thinking that if you can ban the president of the United States, who's to stop them from banning you or me? Who's to stop them from banning? Like, this is almost like a domino effect of something really dangerous that can happen. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but he's, and that's the emotional part. But he says all these crazy things. He's racist. He's riling these people up, and I get that. But at the same time, for me, even though, and this is from a Black person and a lot of Black people, even though there can be KKK rallies, do I like it? No. But at the same time, that is the freedom of speech. They have a right to gather and say whatever it is they want to say. They can say we hate Black people, Black men, women, babies. We'll throw them in the alligator. They can say whatever they want. But also, there's a Second Amendment. Is if you come on my property, you try to say that stuff over here, I can defend myself. So you can say what you want, keep it over there. But because if I let them have their say, I have to have my say too. But if I stop their freedom of speech, then what's to stop my freedom of speech? So I want to get your thoughts on that. What are your thoughts, Frank?
Well, you hit the hammer on the nail. So what they're going to do, and they always do this, even when they took Alex Jones off, like you, I saw what was coming from that. What they're going to do is they're going to use this event to censor who they don't like. And who, of course, are they going to target that at? They're going to target it at pretty much your Black protesters or your Black, Black people in the street. They're going to use this as an excuse, and they always do it. And John, I don't have to come and say anything else behind you. You hit the hammer on the nail. They are going to and I see everybody's cheering. Oh yeah, what are you going to censor him now for? In 2 weeks he'll be out of office. We knew what this man was when he came to office. He has never been quiet about his record, and he has never, he's always been what he is. He's always been that. And so now you want to ban him off Facebook, and okay, that's all cute and dandy, but we already know. And I've been seeing some of my friends here in Memphis just bring that exactly what you said up, John. Who are they going to really impose these new policies that they put in place on? We already know. And like you said, I don't care what a white supremacist thinks of me. I do not care. My problem comes in is when you start putting that mess into law. You can burn all the damn crosses that you want anywhere you want them, as long as you don't come around the 3106 where I'm at, 3126, and around my people and start harming my folks. I don't care what you think. I don't even want to eat in your damn restaurants. I don't even want to go in your damn stores. I don't even want to live where the hell you live. I'm fine over here in South Memphis. My thing is, like you said, when you bring it to me, that's when we're going to have a problem. And I think that goes to another thing too. Is like so many, again, we've been conditioned to want to be liked, by white society. I come from the silent generation of black folks. My folks and them didn't give a damn. They lived through Jim Crow. Stay your ass over there. We'll stay over here. Just leave us the hell alone. But yeah, we know what this is going to ensue. We're going to see any policies that they push is going to be used against us. And like you said, you do have that right to freedom of speech. You can just say the hell over here. Don't bring it over here. Don't bring it over into my area. Don't bring it to my house, or we're going to have some problems. That's okay, the side to me. I'm sorry. I'm start putting down like this in a minute.
No, that's fine. I mean, and if you need to leave anytime, so feel free to leave. You don't have to.
I got a few more minutes. I got a few more minutes.
Okay. So Jonathan, what are your thoughts on that? I'd like to hear your perspective.
So first of all, I do not ever support the silencing of any voices, whether they are voices that are a dissent from mine or one that I'm in agreement with. I think that all voices have a right to be heard, period. Second, I think when it comes to these platforms, which is going to be Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, YouTube, I think that those platforms, each and every one of them, have become so ubiquitous within the society, so widespread, so intertwined within the society, that to me, they are the bastions of public space. They are the bastions of free speech. And as a result of that, to me, the government should regulate them like public utilities and make them adhere to protecting the freedom of thought, speech, and expression of everybody. Because here's the thing. If I don't like what you have to say, I don't have to tune in to your channel. But if I like what you have to say, or even if I don't agree with what you have to say, I might want to be able to process what you said so that I can have an understanding of your side, your perspective, and I may be able to formulate my argument better from hearing and understanding what it is that you're speaking to. So the concept of banning people from these ubiquitous platforms, to me, that is absolutely un-American. It's absolutely un-American. Not only is it un-American, but it is unnatural, but because we all have a right to express ourselves. We all have a right. And honestly, just like I said, there's a natural right to insurrection. I have a natural right to try to gather people through argument and rhetoric, whether it's fiery argument and rhetoric, or whether it's very peaceful, calm, highly intellectual discussion and discourse. I have a right by any means necessary to bring people and try to compel them to my side, to my argument, so that they can stand with me, and then we can make a move in one direction or the other. Likewise, whatever direction I'm moving into, the opposite side of that has a right to aggregate people and attract people for themselves to stand in opposition. That is a natural right. So I do not support the concept of big tech putting their thumb on the mute button or on the delete button or moving the fader down and say, we're not going to allow this voice to be heard and we're going to allow that voice to be heard. Or to say, if, so like for instance, we as Black people, the problem that we have is that mainstream media tends to think that there is only one Black perspective that needs to be presented. And if we present an alternative Black voice that goes against what the preachers in the pulpit who have been co-opted by these organizations with other agendas, if it's a voice that's competing against that, they want to silence that voice because they know that the people who stand in the pulpits have the ability to influence hundreds and thousands of people and really tens of thousands of people through their online presence. They want those voices, the ones that they control, to be the only voices that are heard. And to me, that's a problem. People ought to always be able to say, I'm going to go to my enclave of YouTube. I'm going to go to my enclave with my group in Facebook, or I'm going to go to the people who I follow on Twitter or Instagram, and I'm going to hear those thoughts, and I'm going to digest those thoughts, and then I'm going to put those thoughts into action, or I'm going to bring them into my life and build upon them. Everybody has the right to that. And it's very problematic for me for us to be treated like children by parents saying, well, no, we can only spoon feed you this, you can't eat this, we're gonna keep you on this milk. You never need any meat because you're gonna choke if you get some meat, or you're gonna put too much sugar in your in your rice, or what have you. If we don't regulate that, that's problematic for me. So I do not support one way or the other. I'm like Frank said, the bigot can have his platform and speak. He has a right to say it. I got a right. He got a right to gather. If he gathers, I got a right to say, you know what? I'm not going to show up when the bigot shows up to march. I don't have to go over there and counter protest him. Or if I want to go counter protest him, I can. But I can ignore him, or I could choose to pay attention. Let the people be intelligent enough for themselves to pick and choose what information we want to digest and bring into our life. Don't try to spoon feed me or prevent information from coming to my way, because when you do, and if you support that, that means I don't trust anything you do. I don't trust any institution or organization or politician who supports that, because what that tells me is that you got something to hide, and that you are not worthy of being trusted at all.
No, I completely understand, and I wanted to bring up this video, well, not this video, but this article, going back to what you were just saying, right there. I don't know if can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
So Parler, which is I think a right-wing app, has been removed from Google Play Store, and they're saying that the Apple App Store is thinking about suspending them as well. I know a lot of people initially would say, oh, that's a good thing because they are stoking division and whatever the case may be. And yeah, we don't need that kind of negative talk or et cetera, et cetera. But again, like what you were saying, I think that I hear what they're saying, because it's kind of like we want to just protect from the big bad world. I want to protect people, and it's noble in a sense. I give them that it's noble. You want to protect people.
No,
but
it's not noble. It's paternalistic. It's not noble.
Right.
It's condescending. That's what it is. But I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
No, you're fine. Thank you. No, that's a much better. No, it is condescending, because you're not allowing. You're telling these people, and this is from the liberal side, and I'm around a lot of liberal people, but you're trying to tell people what they can think, what they can say. And that's one thing that I did appreciate about having a Republican presidency, where it's just like, hey, look, there's no PC. I'm not caring about being politically correct. I'm not caring about trying to tell this person what they can and can't say. This is America. You can say whatever you want. And they're right. This is America. If this is America that we love so much, you can't tell somebody what they can or can't say. Now, whether they say or do a certain thing, if there's a consequence, then that's on that. But you have the freedom to say whatever you want to say. You have the right, the naturalized right, to speak your mind, whether I agree with it or not. And the same thing with this Parler app. I know a lot of people are saying, I think we have Frank back. I know a lot of people are saying that, hey, Frank, hey, we got so a lot of people are saying this is a good thing. And I don't know if Frank, you saw this. I'll pull this back up, just for you to see. And for everybody that's tuning in, please make sure you're hitting the like button and share this, and make sure you're subscribing to the Black Boss channel. So this says that Parler, this ad keeps popping up. but it says Parler removed from Google Play Store as Apple App Store suspension reportedly looms. So Parler, which is a right-wing app, has been removed. And I believe people like Dr. Boyce, I heard him mention it before, that he likes going on there because his speech isn't infringed. On there, he can say what he wants without being, because I think he's been banned or blocked for a few days on Facebook for sharing a meme, or he's been blocked on YouTube for a week or so. But he said on Parler, I can say whatever I feel, my my right to speak my mind and not have to fear being banned from doing that. But it seems like they're taking this choice away, and I think you can still access it online, but you can't get it from the Google Play Store. And Apple is now considering taking it off their app store. So, Frank, what are your thoughts on that?
I think we're looking at the creation of and it's been in play for a minute, but we're looking at a creation of a nice, sweet, wholesome censorship program. And it's all going to be done and under the guise of, we're just trying to get rid of the bad, the bad speech. But what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up having, like Jonathan said, big tech policing everybody. And they do it to us pretty much on Facebook already. It's certain things that we can't, how we adjusted to saying white people in a different way. Because they will ban us for saying these things.
Oh, WYT instead of okay. I WHYT. I saw that. Yeah.
And it's going to be a nice, quiet, sweet, totalitarian way of doing stuff, and it's going to be done through big tech, and we're seeing it. One of the things, Jonathan and John, we talked about this. You remember my whole spiel about Michael Jackson and the whole Me Too thing, and how so many pieces of evidence are being left out of the discussion when it comes to certain people. But when you try to bring those things up, you get called all these names. They attack your Twitter page, they attack your Facebook page. But what you're saying is absolutely right. But I can't say that because this person has accused this person, and I automatically have to be on their side. And if I'm not on their side, then I'm somehow encouraging rapist behavior or these types of things, when that's not true at all. What we're seeing is just a slow creation where big tech is going to be monitoring. That's going to be the panel that decides what's offensive and what isn't offensive. I'm Black and I'm from South Memphis. It's certain ways and certain things that the way we interact and talk to each other, that's not going to be liberal approved. When I have my folks from over here, when we get together, we're going to say this, we're going to say that. Nobody's offended, nobody's hurt, but somebody can come along and tell me that doesn't understand the culture that we have and tell me that that's offensive, and I could get banned. So yeah, it's a whole class. It's a whole, and really it's in play already. It's not coming. It's in play, but the thing is that it's squeezing its grip on all of us. And so, like you said, I don't agree with them actually kicking him off. But again, we're seeing what's being created. It's going to be big tech, and who are going to be the ones that's going to be deciding what speech is acceptable and what speech isn't. So we're seeing a totalitarian state come into play, and it's going to be nice and it's going to be sweet. It's going to have the liberal gaze on it, and a lot of these liberals I got a lot of problems with too, because of the mess that they say that's underhanded, and we're seeing the formation of it right now.
I'm gonna tell you it's the equivalent of this. So removing Parler or requiring or saying we're going to remove Parler until you decide that you're going to moderate according to our standards would be the equivalent of a utility company saying, we're not going to deliver power to your building because we don't like what you do inside. We don't like what you say inside. You see what I'm saying? Well, in reality, I got a right to do whatever I want to do in my building. If I want to have a Bible study in my building, I can have a Bible study. But if I want to teach people how to dance on a pole in my building, I got a right to teach people how to dance on a pole in my building. You don't have to come in my building if you don't want to. But just like it would be wrong for the utility company to say, we're not going to provide power to your building, or for the phone company to say, we're not going to allow you to have internet service or a telephone service in your building because we don't like what you're doing inside. That's the exact same thing as Apple or Google removing Parler from the marketplace, basically.
Yeah.
That is a problem, especially since they didn't even charge. To think about it, if I went to go get Parler, it didn't cost me anything to get Parler, in the Google Store or in the Apple App Store. So it's just a place right there. It is clear that they're trying to put their finger on the thumbs or put their thumb on people to keep people from being able to have free discourse within their affinity groups themselves. And that's a problem. Because here's the thing, Parler isn't just a platform for extremists. Parler is a platform for people who want to express thought without being censored, period. And it just so happened that it seems like the people who were considered to be supremacists found out about Parler first and leveraged it to their benefit.
It kind of reminds me in a sense of with what happened in the Holocaust. Not to saying that I'm just trying to compare certain things. How they went after the Jews first, and not comparing the right wing extremists to the Jews, but in the sense of you going after a group first and the people, majority of the people they're like, hey, they're okay with it. It's not us. It's them. Not me. Right. So
and it ends up being you in the end. It ends up being you in the end because you don't say anything.
Right.
And it seems like, and they're going to address one of the things that America does so well. And Gore Vidal said, we are the only art form we created here was a television commercial. We can dress stuff up and make it look completely different than what it really is and make it look good. And the next thing you know, you throat deep in a whole bunch of mess. And like what y'all talking about Parler, I don't even know what the hell Parler is. I've heard about Parler today. And it's like, okay, well, if they want to go on there and spout their stuff, I don't have to go on there. I don't have to go in the room. I don't care what these people are saying. Let them say it. Let them do what they want to, as long as you don't bring it to me. As long as you don't try to forcefully come at me and my folks with that stuff. But again, this is just a nice way that it trickles in. It trickles in cute, and then a couple of years from now, there's no telling what we'll have.
Yeah,
it reminds me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. I didn't mean.
No. Go ahead.
There's a poem called "First They Came," and I don't think many people know that poem, or some may. There was a time where I didn't know this poem, but I think this poem is instructive for all of us. It's called First There Came. And if I can, I'd like to recite the poem. It's pretty short. It says, first they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if we revel in the silencing of somebody's voice, then we cannot be shocked when we have something to say and then they silence our voice. We can't get our message out. We can't promote our business, our venture, or our thoughts, our ideas, our gathering. That is a problem. It is totalitarianism, and it leads us to the antithesis of what the United States of America is supposed to be. Because if you read the Second Amendment, the first part of the Second Amendment really tells you what the United States is supposed to be. Second Amendment, the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. I can stop right there. It's all about the United States is a free state. state. What is the opposite of a free state? A police state. It's a state where the government has all the power and all the force and all the control over everything so that it can control the people and force the people to do this, that, or the other. And the people can never respond. Well, the first part of that, there's two parts of that. I'm going to silence your speech and I'm going to remove your ability to rebel violently. That is problematic. So what we're seeing is Google and Apple silencing speech, and we're seeing elected politicians in office or people getting ready to come to office demanding that these platforms silence speech. That's fascism. That's totalitarianism. We cannot support a people who support that. We do so to our own detriment.
You know, that had me really think back to where you know, the issue with Biden. I know a lot of people were kind of concerned with Biden getting in office, was that he was looking to suppress our rights or infringe on our Second Amendment rights, even though he's sitting there and say, no, I'm not going to take away your guns. I'm just going to take away the assault rifles. Well, you're still infringing on that Second Amendment right. You're infringing, no matter how you try to word it or say it, you're taking away my right to defend myself, no matter how I want to do it, whether it's with a pistol or whether it's with a AK-47, it doesn't matter. You're taking away, if you take that away from me, and this is an argument that I said to other people, will they do the same thing to the police? Because they are looking very militarized more and more and more as years go on. So are you going to take away guns from them? Because they are going, a lot of them are going out there, are showing themselves to be so untrained and unprofessional when it comes to Black people. But then they practice their professionalism and restraint to white folks. But again, how, if it happens to Black people, that's just going to spread over to everybody else. And also for Black people, why are you supporting a man that is taking away your right to defend yourself? And also the same with these the new senator, even though a lot of people were excited, like, oh great, we have some new Democratic, you know, senators in office. Is looking very Democratic now. So if that's the case, they are, I can foresee them forward looking that they are going to start trying to take away the gun rights, and maybe even start with this group of people. They're dangerous. They come in and, you know, they can come in and shoot some of the politicians. So we need to take their we need to, you know, limit gun rights because we can't have this. And then other people, just for that moment, in the moment, they just protect us, take the gun right, you know, take our gun rights away. We don't need it anyway. Yes, we do.
Well, if I may, let me broaden your scope of thinking a little bit, all right? Because you refer to the Second Amendment as the right to defend oneself. The Second Amendment is not the right to defend oneself. The Second Amendment is the right to be able to defend yourself, and the right to be able to be offensive, and the right to be able to be dangerous. You have a right to be able to be dangerous. You don't have a right to be a danger to me, because if you try to be a danger to me, I have a right to respond to you. But you have a right to be dangerous. And so you can never have your right to be dangerous taken away from you, because that means that someone else will have, or some other entity will have, the monopoly on danger. And if you have the monopoly on danger, then I can do with you as I will, especially if the government has the monopoly on danger. If you're the biggest guy in the village and everybody is cowering from you, because you're the big guy and you can defeat everybody, then no one else has any freedom. So you have a right to be dangerous, which means you got the right to go walk out into the woods and pull a stick out of the tree and whittle it and make it sharp to deal with the really big guy, because I cannot allow him to have the monopoly. The same thing is with the government. We can never allow the government to remove your ability to be dangerous to it, because the government only exists with the right of the consent of the governed, which means that the governed always have the right to take the consent back, to wipe it away, and if to wipe the government away. And if you don't believe that, read the Declaration of Independence, because it'll tell you in the course of human events, when man is compelled to separate themselves, to throw off the bands that bind them together, they have the right to do it. And so, in order to throw off the bands, I must literally have the right to physically throw off the bands. So, the Second Amendment isn't just about a defensive right. Yeah, I got a right to defend myself from all enemies, whether they be fellow individuals, citizens, or the government. And you see, and so I would encourage you to expand your thinking, your language, when in regard to the Second Amendment. It's not just about defense, it's not about hunting, it's about the right to be offensive and dangerous at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is very true, because they attack us first in that sense. If everybody that's watching, because you look back in California, because I think I told you about this before, Jonathan. In California, I can't carry. I can't carry my weapon on me, which in a sense is kind of like pointless. Like, so why do I have? But they made it that way. Like, why do I have this gun if I can't carry it on me? And if I do, it has to be in a box that I'm carrying around with me. And when I have it in my car, the bullets have to be so many feet away, separate from the gun. So if somebody's attacking me, I have to go and, go to my, get my gun and then go to my trunk, and I'm dodging bullets and whatever and trying to look. That's ridiculous. That is not realistic, a realistic way to defend myself or attack.
Right. John, I got a question now. Was that a response to when the Black Panther showed up?
Yes, that's what I meant to. Yeah. So because
Ronald Reagan was governor of California then when it happened.
Right. It used to be open carry, and the Black Panthers just decided, like, you know what, let's try it. So they went to got on the government steps, open carry, freaked everybody out because, oh, look at the big bad black people, they can't carry guns. And they went ahead and just completely changed the laws from there. So now that's why California has some of the strictest laws when it comes to gun rights, because they didn't want black people carrying like white people carry.
You know what's so crazy about that?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Frank.
What's so crazy about that, to both of you? My homeboy Earl was talking about when they were talking, the way that certain black people are always portrayed. And he was talking about how it's certain things in history that we're taught about, say, civil rights or things like that. But he said, if we lived in a true just state, not only would we hear about, say, Martin Luther King, you would also hear about the Deacons of Justice. You would also hear about all these other black groups. And it's like, it's this purposeful deletion of armed black people. Black people that fought, like, my great grandmother beat down 2 police officers who tried to take my great uncle Willie away and kept a shotgun next to her door. Ida B. Wells, when she said a Winchester rifle should be kept in a place of honor in every black household to dispense the justice that the government will not allow. It's like it's always this whole purposeful intent to just wipe away the militant part of the black experience in this country. And I'm just always amazed at that. And see, again, that's why it goes into this whole conditioning that we are under now, to where we have to be respectable. I've run into it. I've had, John, y'all both know I ran for office. I ran for city council. You would not believe the amount, how I was told that I was too militant by telling the truth, by not cowering myself down. Like, you all know, I have a powerful, big voice. I've been speaking since I was 4 years old. My daddy was a Korean War vet. My mama was a loud cafe woman. And the one thing that they did not instill in me is fear. But just for you to come into rooms and to know what you're talking about, that's considered aggressive. And I was told that I need to tone myself. What am I saying that's so offensive? But it's this whole idea of black confidence, this black forcefulness from black people. We're not supposed to be forceful. We're supposed to be passive and nice and forgiving. Well, I'm sorry, that ain't me. That is just not me. And when I look back, When and I love history. When I look back, I see black folks that were aggressive. I saw the side of black folks that were armed. I saw the side of black folks that were peaceful. You had all of it, and you need all of it. You cannot go about this one way. But it's just always this attempt to wipe out the forcefulness of black people that it's just amazing to me. I mean, just in every aspect, it's amazing.
Jonathan, did you have something to say, Aaron?
Well, so I think society wants to iterate to black people constantly, stay in your place. And there are black people who have been given trinkets and promises in positions and platforms specifically so that they can compel other people who have the voices to stay in their or our place. And so, which means that they don't believe that there's enough oxygen in the room for all of us, number one. So if there's not enough oxygen in the room for all of us, they don't want you with your beautiful rhetoric that may incite people or draw people into the message. They don't want you to come out there and come with your compelling message to bring people in, because what that does is that means you're gonna start leading people off of Master's plantation, and then they lose their position in the big house. So they'll be like Stephen and Django. Well, everybody can do that. Get that nigga off that nag. I mean, literally, that is their mindset. He the only one that want to wear the ruffled collars, right? He's the only one that wants to be able to look in Master's book and bring him his ring with the, he can put the seal. He wants to be the keeper of the ring. He don't want anybody else to be able to do that. And so for me, I'm always looking to identify such people who want to be the gatekeepers of Black America, because number one, I have no respect for them. And number two, I just know, hey, I'm going to speak all around you, and I'm always going to be respectful, and I'm going to slice and dice and cut your argument up. But what you're not going to do is silence me, and you're not going to make me come beg for your platform, because I create my own anyway. And I'm not begging for or asking permission to go before the people to run for an office. If I run for an office, I don't have to run for an office under your banner. If to run for the office under your banner means that I have to change the very essence of me that makes me suitable for run for the office anyway. Right. So I don't have any respect for people who going to tell the next man or woman, oh, you need to tone it down. You're too militant, because the reality is some people only hear the loud, projected, emphatic voice. Right. And so when I'm in Rome, I do as the Romans. I'm gonna measure my audience. So if I have an audience that I need to speak to, like I'm a professor, then that's the one I'm going to talk to. But if I have an audience where I need to go and use rhetorical skills, like I'm a preacher, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And if I have an audience that I need to just send a letter, that's what I'm going to do. But what you're not going to do is tell me how I must be at all times. I'm just not doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is it's something that's very dangerous, that we are, just like Frank said. I mean, it's not that we're getting there; we're already there. With them banning Parler from Google app and thinking about doing it with the Apple App Store, with them banning Trump from Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Even though you feel however you want to feel about them, but we're not just going off of emotion. This is very logical, because emotion will only get you so far, But if you add in logic with that, you can look even further. And what we're talking about and what we're seeing is something that is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous precedent that will affect not just them, not just the right wingers, but it's going to affect everybody. Like you're voting against your best interest. How as often as you hear people say that about the conservative, oh, you're voting against your best interest. No, there's a lot on the left side. There's all over. We're voting against our best interest, and we need to really wake up and see what's happening, and not just thinking, oh, it's them. It has nothing to do with me. Yeah, that does have something to do with me, because if they can do it to them, they can do it to me. Even with this platform that everybody on here is watching, they can block this because they blocked Trump. Who are we if they block the president of the United States of America? And they said, we don't care about your position. We don't care about who you are. We're blocking you. You
Well, they
can't
just
say
call you a terrorist. They'll just call you a terrorist, or say you're saying making terrorist threats. Nobody's going to go double check and actually see and listen to the content. But because they said it, and because we have been so conditioned not to critically think anymore, and this just didn't happen. You know, one of the things that I have to do, I'm 43. This has been happening since I was a child. This has been going on. It's just been weeding itself into the society and growing the more we go. So it's this whole lack of just critical thinking. You know, we treat these sides like we're on football teams. You got your side and this my side, and we just cheering and not realizing all this cheering that we're doing, and we're not getting anything for it. And the people up in the boxes are the ones that's getting the profit. We're going and buying the outfits that Dallas Cowboys, this and all that kind of stuff. But what are we getting from it? No, they're taking more money out of our pockets. They're doing more stuff, becoming more powerful, and we're just blindly cheering. You know, and we have to get off that.
Here's the thing. Not only are they getting the profits, but they're getting the entertainment from watching us run around in circles doing nothing. They're up there laughing about it, really, when you think about it. So they're having an emotional response to it, which is laughter. Mm-hmm. While we're having an emotional response, which is anger and sadness amongst each other and angst amongst each other, such to the point that we can't even hear each other.
We can't.
You know, and what we do is we regurgitate everybody else's emotional responses, and that constant regurgitation of emotionalism dumbs us down to where we cannot critically think about that which we are seeing with our own eyes. You know,
Jonathan, a while ago we had a long little chat, and you brought up to me that when things pop off, the people that are going to have the hardest time are the so-called black bourgeoisie and the so-called black middle class, because they have ostracized themselves from the other black people who they think are lesser than them. Now, one of the things that I've been doing, like rebuilding my neighborhood association, we've also created the CDC. We're trying to work on growing our own food and all this other stuff. In the midst of that, and in the midst of this pandemic, one of the things that I've been able to do in this time is reconnect with folks that I grew up with over here in the neighborhood. And it's amazing, because what you find out, this whole thing about us being respectable, it's just pure garbage. We have survived with every element of our community. You got foot soldiers out here that are ready to work. But these bourgeoisie Negroes have conditioned us that we can only look a certain way, act a certain way, or be. You got the brothers out here that are here to throw blows, that are here to fight. And guess what? They are waiting to be organized by people. But these folks want to come in, and you want to dehumanize these folks so bad. You want to scream at them. They pull your pants up. You're doing this to wrong. They already used to being talked down to. Right. When are you going to come and build them up? I had a friend of mine that pulled up on me when I was out running a few months ago. I hadn't seen Michael since junior high school. He pulled up on me, and of course, you know, me being from the South and depot contamination, I got a little there. Hold on, who this rolling up on me? He rolled up, called me by my name that they used to call me, and said, look, we are proud of what you're trying to do in the neighborhood. Let us know what we can do to help.
Right.
But we have been so conditioned to leave that group of black. Oh, that they just too hood. They not respectable. Damn that respectability. These people are ready to work, and they will work, and they will listen to you if you talk to them like they're human.
And here's the thing. And if you come into proximity to them, then actually you can accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish, because actually you give them something possibly to aspire to, where they may pull themselves on up to the standard that you really would want to set for them. But if you distance yourself from them, then they say to themselves, I don't want to aspire to that, because to aspire to that means that I'm aspiring to a crooked mindset that denies the essence of the goodness of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So we have to always be very careful about that. I have an uncle that always told me we would sit on the stoop and we would see the sanitation worker come down and he'd say, Jonathan, I can sit on the throne with kings and I can get out there and take out the trash and ride that truck with that sanitation worker. There's nobody above me or beneath me. There's no work that is above or beneath me. I can do it all. I can talk to anybody and I can hang with everybody. Mm-hmm. He told me, he said, whatever you do, don't elevate yourself in your mind to where you cannot reach out to the side and take somebody's hand, that you always got to be where you got to reach down. Sometimes you got to reach down and pull some people up, but it's better to have more people to the side that you can lock arms with.
Yes.
That I always got to feel like I'm in a position where I got to pull you up. At some point, I should bring people to my level, and I certainly got to respect the people on my level.
Yeah, there's actually something that Frank, you mentioned earlier that had me think back to what you were talking about with what Jonathan was saying about the bourgeoisie, like those black people, they need to be careful. That reminded me of when we were at a very critical moment last summer with all the protests because of George Floyd and everything like that, and we're going to be wrapping up soon. Everybody that's tuning in, please make sure you're hitting this like button because this is amazing conversation. Hit the like button, subscribe to the Black Boss channel, share this because more people need to see. We need to have this conversation out there. But going back to the protests were going out there, I think the women sports players, I think they started it. They started boycotting, walking off of the field, walking off, and kudos to them because they were sacrificing their pay.
And they've always done that too. They've always been there too.
And then it trickled over into the NBA. But then what happened once they start boycotting? What happened? Whoa, we can't have that.
Who did they bring on? Who they bring?
Who did they brought over the person that we love so much in the community of Barack Obama and another person we love so much, Michael Jordan, because we hold them up so high in the black community, and it's very smart and it's very strategic. You send these people that we respect and love so much to come and tell them, hey, no, this isn't the right way to do it. Go back and play. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out.
You know what was so awesome about what was so crazy about that? How many of us remember the government shutdown in 2019? And it's just crazy how you don't hear about this. No one did any commentary on it. It kind of just went away. So you just remember on that Friday, all of a sudden, the government reached a deal to end the government shutdown. And it was January 2019. What they failed to mention, and if you remember, like maybe a week or two before that, all of the TSA workers started calling out because remember, those TSA workers were still going to work without being paid. And 2 weeks out, you started seeing these TSA workers call out. And the next day it was more. The next day, and this went on, and it was like a cascade. It was like a domino effect until that morning when they reached the deal to end the government shutdown. I think it was 3 airports had shut down because there were not enough TSA workers to work. So the TSA workers actually stopped that government shutdown. But nobody in the mainstream media, nobody in government, nobody will admit that that's what happened. They say, and I went back and I looked up a couple of articles concerning it. They said that airport slowdowns are the reason why the government shutdown ended and they eventually reached a deal, which is basically code word. We can't admit to say that people actually doing a simple thing like calling out from work stop them from doing the foolishness they were doing. And see, that's exactly what happened in this case with Obama. If those NBA players had gone on strike, that would have set a cascade through this country because the first thing folks would have said, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too. One of the things this place loves to do is it loves to isolate us. We're all sitting here having these same thoughts. But it makes us think that we're alone and isolated and we're not thinking like that. Once I start seeing Jonathan do something that goes, oh, well, you know what? I'm not by myself in how I feel. So let me go do this. Let me go talk to these folks. And then, John, you do the same thing. That's why they had, now Obama and Jordan hadn't said anything about Breonna Taylor. They ain't said nothing about George Floyd, but you pop your ass up to say, go on and finish the season. For what? What would be the purpose of finishing the season other than putting more money in these rich people's pockets already? But they had to stop that idea. They had to stop because they knew what was going to happen. If the NBA players are doing it, then damn it, we can do this here on the ground too.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's true, and that really disgusted me when I saw that because I was thinking as much as we, as a community, line the pockets of Nike and line the pockets of Michael Jordan. I mean, Michael Jordan really he has a part in, of course, building his career, but because of how we look and how we uphold him and how we talk about him to other people, we push that even higher because now, oh man, you're so great. Greatest of all time. Right. And then we put so much money in your pocket, buying the shoe every time a new shoe comes out. And you can have more than enough shoes than you need, but still buying shoes. And ain't nothing wrong with the shoes you have. Buying more shoes, putting more money in this man's pocket. And he has really ever said, I haven't heard him say anything about any black people getting killed from either the police brutality. I haven't heard him say anything about, hey, y'all, stop fighting each other for my shoe, or even just taking his money. And maybe he's doing some stuff behind closed doors. I don't know, but I haven't seen him go out and or even be with Black Lives Matter, go and be in a march with them or anything of that. Nothing that Colin Kaepernick's been doing, and he was banned. Colin Kaepernick, he created programs and is very vocal. Hey, I want to help kids understand the law and at least know what they're dealing with.
We even got mad at Kaepernick when they tried to run that game on him with the fake audition. But they had changed that. What was it? The
location
that they wanted him to sign, where they had added the additional clause, where basically he was going to be signing away his rights to actually sue. We got mad at him for pointing that out. It's like they tried to set him up with a fake interview and add a whole different clause to the contract, basically saying I'm signing away my right to take y'all asses to court for discriminating against me, and somehow he was wrong for that. That's amazing. Like, no, he needs to be congratulated because guess what? He figured, again, he's showing us the underhanded games that they play.
Right.
But see, again, we've been so conditioned. Oh, well, anybody offers you a job. Okay, stop. Kaepernick don't work jobs like we do. These people go in and they negotiate contracts. This little old stuff that y'all thinking, no, foolishness. Shut up. They live a whole different type of lifestyle when you start dealing with those types of money. They tried to get him on a contract. They tried to get him to sign away some power that he had, and he refused to. And he threw it back in their face. I cheered. I was cheering. But they've conditioned us again. We can't have that backbone. You can't stand up to them. If you do, then somehow you're wrong, even though you're right. Because again, what does that do? That tells somebody else, you know what? You do have the power to stand up to this. You do have the power to stand up and fight back against this. All this it's an attack on the thought. It's an attack on, like you said, Jonathan, a free thought. Where I am actually more than this. I can do, and we can do more together with each other. Give me the hood folks now. Don't give me no bourgeoisie niggas. I done been in the rooms with them. And every time I'm in a room with a bunch of bourgeoisie Negroes in this city, I have to worry about who gonna stab me in the back first. When I can come around here and sit with my cousins and have a beer, guess what? I can leave my wallet with my money on the table and ain't nobody gonna touch it.
So you know what? So here's something. A thought came to me while you were speaking about that. So think about this. We have, as a people, we have got to stop immediately assuming that a black person doesn't like or love himself or his people because he got an alternative thought to the traditional narrative.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I can be politically conservative and still have a tremendous amount of love for the people who look like me. They are not mutually exclusive concepts. You understand what I'm saying? So you think about that. I can be I can say, hey, you know what? I'm not necessarily supporting the Democrats this year. That don't mean that I hate the people who look like me.
Mm-hmm.
I can say, you know what? This time I think I need to vote, for fiscal purposes or Second Amendment purposes. I might need to cast my vote with the Republicans right now. That don't mean that I hate the people who look like me, right? So I have no presumption that just because somebody has an alternative thought that they hate themselves and the people who look like me. You know what? Corresponding with that, just because a white person has a thought that disagrees with me don't necessarily mean that they hate me, right? And so we have to stop, as Black people, stop buying into this construct that every decision that another people group make is because they hate us, because all that does is that puts us in a whining position, that puts us in a position where we're always pointing the finger at a boogeyman instead of looking in the mirror and saying, okay, well, what is it that I must do to improve myself? What mistake did I make? What error did I make? Where is there an opportunity for me to have some achievement that I'm missing? Oh, you know what? I can complain about them. They making all the money over there. Oh, well, maybe I need to get in that business and make some of that money, right? I'm in the firearms business. Firearms business is typically very much dominated by white people. White people didn't want me teaching in their white ranges. So what does that mean? But at the same time, I look over and say, man, they're making a lot of money. Am I going to be like, oh, the white man won't let me conduct a class in his range? Or do I say, well, you know what? Let me just go and get my own space and I'll conduct. You see, so I'm not going to ask permission for that. I'm going to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to whine. I'm not going to be stuck with that. I'm going to be my own thing and keep it moving just like that.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true, because a lot of us don't have businesses. And especially like with these politicians, they're so quick to like, oh, we got jobs. We created so many jobs for Black people. But if you think about it, because I was reading Powernomics. It's a really great book. If you guys haven't read it, Dr. Claude Anderson, the Black community needs to read this book. It's almost like a Bible that you should read. Mm-hmm. As much as we love. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with loving God. I love God, but we need to read this in a sense to where, because that will completely change. You can love God and still read this book, and you can put your God-given talent and your God-given smarts and intelligence into the practices that this book is given. Because in this book, Dr. Claude Anderson mentioned that jobs doesn't equate to wealth. Just because you have a job, typically what a job gives you is just a check. It holds you maybe 2 weeks to a month away from being homeless. That's what a job gives you. Yeah. It doesn't build wealth. And
job means just over broke.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, just over broke. And that's what a job is. But we're so quick to giving our money away to people who don't look like us, people who don't support us. And we're so happy when Ray and Lil Pookie and got a job. Oh, he got a job at Wilson, or he got a job at wherever. But we don't support these same people who want to create businesses. Some of these kids, I was talking to a friend the other day about I don't support the Girl Scout cookies and stuff like that anymore. For people who do, that's fine. But I was thinking about, I said, why is it that, for instance, Girl Scout cookies, they can go and they can and solicit and be on people's properties. It's okay when they do it. And even with those girls, they aren't. It's not like they're getting a lot of money back. They're not. You sell, I don't know how many, $1,000 worth of cookies. Are they giving them like $250? Like, I don't think so. Like, here's your cut. Thank you. Or are they giving them a keychain? Or hey, here's a trip. It's an experience. We'll take the money, but here's an experience. But when it comes to Black kids who are selling candy, we shun them. But you sit there and look at them like, but if you think about it, if you really think about it, they're being entrepreneurs, they're being business minded.
We used to have that. I come from a family of business owners. I mean, my My great uncle owned a country kitchen. They used to be on 3rd Street in Mallory for years. Everybody in the family went and got their first job in their restaurant. My older sister met her husband in the restaurant. She's been married over 30 years to this man. But again, conditioning. We got conditioned out of that to go and put on the suits and the power suits, and because we saw these images on TV. And like one of the things that we could do too, when our folks got out of jail, we could still employ them when they came back, so they didn't have to fall into those cycles. I had a conversation last night, back to my subject about my folks, my quote unquote hood folks. I got a cousin that has done federal time a couple of times, her and her brothers and sisters. But, you know, they always looked out for family. And we were talking last night, and she brought up a lot about how she felt demeaned by a lot of the so-called black bourgeoisie. Now, mind you, Angie, she done did her dirt, but she is smart as I don't know what, always has been an all-age student in math, all these things. Got more business sense than people walking around here with master degrees in business. And she's already now getting her business license to start her up yet another business. She got a wing shop over here already that she's working. Now, she still works a full-time job, but she still has these other businesses on the side that she's running. Now, this is from somebody that has done that got felonies on her record. She was a booster and all that kind of stuff. But guess what she did with the money? She wasn't out here trying to buy the big fancy houses. She saved her money up. And now she got a wing spot and is finna open yet another business. But yet, like we were laughing last night, oh, but the bougie blacks want to look down on her. You know, they want to look down their nose at her. But look what she was able to accomplish. Right. You know, I mean, again, that's what I say. We're going to survive by opening these businesses and employing each other again. And I had to leave corporate America over there because I got sick of being handed pennies when I'm making hundreds of millions of dollars for you. You know, now I'm working on doing my own CDC, got the paperwork from that completed, getting the business license to do that. So I can apply for grants and other funding and stuff like that. So I can redevelop my own stuff, my own neighborhood, buy my own houses and rent it out to who the hell I want to. And I mean, and to me, with the pandemic and everything else, this is the way that this thing goes. So, okay, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm talking too much. Y'all go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. For everybody that's watching, please make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribe to this channel, the Black Boss channel. We have intelligent conversation, intelligent thought. You don't hear this on mainstream media. And we need more of this. We need more of a different perspective, Black perspective. And just like Jonathan was saying earlier, just because if you know a Black Republican, that doesn't mean he's a sellout. That doesn't mean he is voting against his own interests. Ask him why, what in this party do you believe in? And
those
really
things mean different things. They like
right.
Liberal. I don't consider myself a liberal in the way that the mainstream talks about liberal. I don't buy into that because I'm a Black male. All of this stuff means something different to me. I don't consider myself. I got called a Trump supporter because I brought up questions about Biden's record. Mm-hmm. You know, go look at his videos from 30 years ago. He didn't have a stutter then. He didn't have a stutter, but he has dementia now that they don't want to tell us that he has dementia. I got called a straight up. Now, you know good and well, as much work as I do, I saw Trump coming. You know, when he walked, I said, oh, here we go. But just because I asked a question, just because I questioned his record, you know, he's the reason why we can't put our student loans on bankruptcy. Everybody seems to forget that. You know, we forget these little things. But you're going to accuse me of that because I asked a question? Again, that's censorship right there. Mm-hmm. That's censorship right there. I can only go along with what you say that I can say about this person. But this man has been harmful to our community. Mm-hmm. And I mean, over a period of almost 50 years. That mess about his son, that's true.
Right.
That's true. But you don't have to. No, we have to say. And as a matter of fact, I got happy that Black people were asking those questions of him in the beginning. They were asking those questions of Kamala Harris. They were asking those questions of Cory Booker. I got excited because, yes, this is what we need to do. We need to question these people that call themselves our friends because they haven't been. Mm-hmm. And again, that's that censorship. That's that totalitarianism coming in, even on the so-called liberal side. That's why I say it's going to be a kinder, gentler totalitarianism, even though it's going to be worse.
But if you're not towing the line of Joy Reid or Van Jones, You know, if you're not regurgitating and getting on TV crying about them or being exacerbated and angry about anything else, then your voice is not to be heard. You know, you certainly cannot be speaking, you know, for Black people or helping Black people or what have you, or in the interest of Black people. That's the narrative that they want you to believe, and that's what they push out while with their control of the platforms. And that's why they want to squash our access to other platforms or other ideas expressed in the ubiquitous platform. And that's problematic. That's why I can't trust any of them. I can't trust them because it's like you're hiding voices from me. You're hiding the truth. You're putting masking tape over it, you know, and painting it over there with paper mache and tricking me into thinking that this is an old antique bottle, and all you did was put doggone masking tape on there and some little brown crayons, and now you selling me this bottle that really was a Dr. Pepper bottle, you know, that you paid $1.25 for, and you drunk it up, and now you telling me, oh no, this is an old 1,500-year-old antique. You hoodwinking me with the paper mache. That's a problem.
There's a problem. The guy that they brought out, the Democratic representative Cedric Richmond, that they brought out to throw stones at Ice Cube, and the thing is, he is his representative out of Louisiana. His district is one of the most contaminated Black districts in the country. They have cancer alleys all up and down, and he does nothing about it. But guess what he's going to get? He's already been appointed as a liaison between the Biden administration and the EPA. And he takes money from who? The fossil fuel industry. So you done drug this Black man up to critique and criticize a Black man who made valid points about holding you all as a party accountable. And what did Ice Cube say? Ice Cube said, okay, so you want to say this about me? Release the Zoom call, because y'all recorded the Zoom call. Release it to the public so they can see. They never released that Zoom call. Now, that very same representative, Cedric Richmond, he went on that call with Biden. You remember that one that was leaked? And Biden talked to them so badly on that call, and none of them said anything. None of them said anything. And he demeaned, go listen to it if you have not listened to it. Listen to the whole thing. He demeaned Al Sharpton and every last one of them on that call. But these are the same people that told us after they didn't win all of the seats that they thought they should have, immediately started blaming the folk that actually put their asses in office. Not less than a day later. Their knee-jerk reaction, even when they thought Trump was going to win again, their knee-jerk reaction was to blame Black folk. Well, you know, the extra 2% of Black men voted for Trump. No, it wasn't. The overwhelmingly majority of Black men that voted for Joe Biden. Here you are again, blaming us for your damn failures. You refuse to look at yourself as a party. You refuse to listen to your base. And the knee-jerk reaction is to blame who? Not themselves, but us.
Right.
And like Jonathan said, we supposed to toe that line. That's why I got a problem. I can't toe a line when I know you're lying. I can't toe a line when you have done these things to my folks, not only to my folks, but to me. I'm sitting over here, a victim of environmental justice. My sister is still recovering from a rare, unique brain cancer that my mom had related to the Defense Depot. You did this to me. You did this to my folks. You did this to my folks. I cannot toe the line for you because it has caused too much pain. It's caused too much pain for me.
And once you are revealed to be a liar about anything, I have to look at everything you say. Would have John just die? I have to question everything you say because you are proven to be a liar. So if you lie about this one thing over here, then you very well could be lying about this over here. So it's legitimate for me to ask a question. Well, now tell me a little bit about this. Now bring me the proof about this. You know, I need to audit you about this. No, open up the books. No, release the recording. Let us in the room. Now let me get my representative to tell you to your next meeting because I can't trust anything that come out your mouth.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Because I wasn't surprised and I wasn't shocked, but when Ice Cube, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier. If a person asks questions, just like what Frank was saying earlier, you ask a question, they will, especially the liberals,
they turn the mobs loose.
They will attack you, and they try to say that about the right. The right. Oh, you can't ask. Well, what do you because if you ask any questions against them, it's the wings of the same bird. They do the same thing.
Exactly, they do the same thing.
So I remember when LeBron was saying something about people being killed, and Tommy Lauren, I believe, or whoever, told him shut up and just dribble. But if he says something that you like, see, this black person gets it. Why can't y'all get it? And the same thing with the dribble. Just like, if you're not saying with what this black person that we like, if you're not saying what they're saying, what we want you to say, then you need to shut up and just go back rapping. Basically, it's a rapper. Why are we listening to him anyway? He does.
When he says what you want, you parade him around. You put him on all your stuff, but when they start saying something to make you think, oh no, shut up and dribble. Oh no, shut up and think.
Right. So now think about this. They'll complain about you listening to a rapper who is in a black institution, but then they'll go on 60 Minutes or CBS News or whatever and sit down with Cardi B, and say, oh, because Cardi B is with me, you should vote for me. You see, you can't have it both ways. If we're supposed to be impressed about you listening to Cardi B, then we should demand that you listen to Ice Cube.
Yep. Tell them.
Because one of them is telling you, to shake your joint, and and I like the way Cardi B is shaking. I'm gonna be real. At the same time, Ice Cube's a contract with Black America is very stimulating to me. I want to see that implemented. You're right. So if you want me to give me weight to the thick, to the thin waist over here, I need you to give weight to the thick plan over here. Period.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways. If I'm gonna listen to an entertainer, let me listen to all the entertainers, the smart ones and the ones who still entertain.
Oh yes.
You
spot on. No, shut up. You spot on, man. It's just like, wow, oh God, I need to use this journalism degree that I got some more. Because I'm telling you, it's just, well, you're doing too much. Think about too, when they finally selected Kamala. And the crazy thing was, I said, oh, well, now you cheering the Democratic Party. I said, but remember, that same Democratic Party put both Cory Booker and Kamala Harris out of the debates because they hadn't raised enough money, and then they didn't have a certain amount of percentage of the whatever vote. But just remember, a few days after that, the Democratic Party completely wiped those rules out to allow Michael Bloomberg to get up on that stage as a potential candidate.
Right. When they should have forced him, no, get on the stage as an independent, use all your money and buy some time.
But John, if you remember, Forbes a few months before that, and again, these people with these lack of memories kill me. Forbes magazine published an article where they said that Jeffrey Bezos and Bloomberg had a conversation. And Jeffrey Bezos said that if it looked like Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders were going to get that nomination, then Bloomberg should run to keep both of them from getting the nomination.
Right.
But everybody seems to forget that. And they said, like, basically the big funders of the Democratic Party were like, well, look, if they don't, if they nominate Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, then we're going to support Donald Trump. Now, why is it that you beat us over the head for supporting Trump? Even though, again, I didn't support him or anything like that. But why are we getting beat over the head, told not to support him in any way? But these billionaires get to make this whatever decision that they want to. Oh, well, they don't like Elizabeth Warren, so they're going to go over here. But you're not beating them over the head, but you're going to beat us over the head. But these people, wealth and power, you're not going to beat. So why is it that that's only one choice? Why is that only for us?
Right.
Man, and that's funny. I want to bring up what Mandisa said. Ice Cube doesn't have the WAP, So creepy Jim Crow Joe only makes time for the WAP, and hey, that kind of goes to show, like, hey, if you shake your booty and actually, I think there was a video where the Migos was up there. They were trying to like get out the vote, and it was they were singing their song like raindrop, drop top, cooking the put them top, like, and they were talking about doing drugs, and then at a point in the song they're like, hey, get out and vote, y'all, get out and vote, and it's just like, wait, what?
I got into it with one of the creators.
Community, but hey, get out and vote though.
I got into it with one of the creators of the commercial they had out with the strippers. And because a couple of people, a friend of mine, Danny, who does a lot of political work, he just said, what the hell is the use of this? Why did you have to go this route to call yourself reaching out to black people? Where is the content? Where is the policy? Where is anything in this commercial other than just, well, see, a lot of these folks and came back home and this and that. And we were like, Black people are asking legitimate questions. Where is your policy? But instead, you put somebody sliding down a pole in a whole commercial and didn't say anything about policy. And sometimes you're not going to convince people to vote. Maybe you should just sit back and have a conversation, but most people cannot have political conversations because they really don't understand politics. They know the talking points that they were fed. They wake up every 4 years and they tune in to MSNBC, CNN, or even Fox, and they get loaded up on their talking points and they go for it. And the only way they know how to do is scream at folks because they don't know how to have a discussion about it. They don't understand policy. They don't understand how NAFTA affected, the people in the Rust Belt. So a lot of the people that were pissed at Hillary Clinton had a justification to be pissed at Hillary Clinton. They don't know about the Telecommunications Act of 96 or the removal of Glass-Steagall. They don't understand how these things go and how they play into our lives, but we can scream at each other. Oh, you better vote for it because our folks fought. Well, our folks fought for a whole hell of a lot of other stuff too. They didn't just fight. They also fight for equality and rights and died for these things. And just remember, how the hell did they get the right to vote? They had to get out there and fight for it.
Right. Well, in the mainstream media, what is not going to happen is what is exactly happening in this exchange right now. Mm-hmm. We know that the moderator is not going to allow both sides to speak or to allow everyone to speak without interruption. The moderator in mainstream media is going to constantly always keep interrupting in things because they got to push their personality instead of the content that's on the table. And the people who are participating in the interviews are not going to respect each other. This is what makes this so beautiful, is that we sit and listen to each other because ultimately we all have one goal, and that's to put the ultimate truth on the table.
On the table.
Not my truth, not your truth, not JT's truth, the truth, period. And if we sit and listen, the truth gets on the table.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the real. That's why, again, for everybody that's tuning in, please, we need this out. Like, share it, subscribe, because especially 2021, I don't care. I know so many people are happy. Oh, thank God, Joe Biden is in office. Whew, no, I don't care. I'm going to ask questions. I hope Ice Cube definitely resurfaces again. I think he came back on Dr. Boyce's channel, still talking to me. He's like, hey, I didn't go anywhere. And, they kind of moved on, but, it's good. Even though you can't expect to win every time. You can't win every battle, but the idea is to win the war. It's the long game. So everybody is so quick to just, I just want this win. I want this win now. I want this win. It's like you can't win everything. Just as long as you keep moving, keep your nose to the grindstone and keep going. That's the way that we can succeed, and to keep evolving and keep learning. That's why I want this out here. I want people like Jonathan Cross. I want people like Frank W. Johnson, because you don't hear intelligent Black men who are not bought off by anybody. They're not bought off by the Democratic Party. They're not bought off by the Republican Party. They are just going to speak their truth, and that's what we want here. We want truth. I want truth. Because you don't get truth. You get a lot of talking points. You get a lot of businesses that has millions of dollars that, hey, we want you to talk about this. We don't want to talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Let's keep it on this. Let's keep these people divided. When in reality, you have it's funny because even on extreme left and extreme right, there are a lot of similarities that they don't even really see. Like, for instance, we're both poor. So who are the people that we really need to be looking at? These corrupt politicians, which I think initially they weren't even supposed to have this much money. Like all these lobbies, they weren't even supposed. You are supposed to represent the people, but yet they have millions and millions of dollars. Why? Why do they have so much money in this sense? They're not a business.
And you notice
it is not just why, it's how. How is it all of a sudden you go to Washington, you know, you're middle income, you leave Washington and you're a multi-millionaire. That is something that doesn't make sense. That tells you that people are selling their soul to the devils, not the devil. They're selling their soul to the devils, and they're selling their commodity, which is us, to those same devils.
I can take you to Nashville right now, to the State House. You're going to see, I don't know how many hundreds of people walking through the State House building. I can guarantee you 99% of those people you're going to see walking around are lobbyists. There are more lobbyists in our state houses than there are representatives. And they are just walking the building with checks. They are this is a bribe system. One more thing, and I'm gonna shut up. A friend of mine ran for office. Y'all know Marquita Bradshaw. She broke history, all these types of things. Did y'all? Okay, now they had a white guy that they had actually set up that they wanted to be the Democratic nominee. Gave him $2.3 million. Offhand, boom, here you go. Marquita beat him with $8,000. $8,000. Because Marquita got up and went to every county in Tennessee. Now, mind you, after this happened, she made national headlines, right? Guess what happened? Guess what happened? Democratic Party didn't send her any money or support or anything. Now, here this woman is the first Black female to be nominated for that position. Excellent platform. You know, I've grown up with Marquita's family. I mean, her mother is the first one that fought to close the defense depot and get us some type of restitution for what was done, and has paid the price for that. Hardly any, no support. I had a woman call me from Pulaski County, Tennessee. Pulaski County, Tennessee is where the Ku Klux Klan was founded. That woman said, "We know that you all will not feel comfortable coming up here. What we need for you all to do, give us literature and yard signs. We'll do all the campaigning up here. You all do not have to come because we know you have to worry about safety." This is how intense these people were ready to vote for this candidate. But did she get support like she should have? Like we know that white male would have got supported? No. Because of her what? Her platform that the Democratic Party did not want to invest in, because they want these corporate candidates. They want these corner of the mill so-called moderate candidates. That's really not going to fight for change, because if you fight for change, that means they have to work. Right, so again, I can't go on the mainstream and discuss this. I can't, because guess what? I'm not towing the line of their party. Oh, we should just vote. But why should I vote for you and you're not even discussing my issues? You're not discussing what's hitting me. And then you won't even support the people that are. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it is absolutely amazing that these times that we live in.
Right.
Yes. So for everybody tuning in, make sure you're hitting the like button. You're subscribing to the Black Box channel, because we're going to have more interviews like this. And so I really want to dive in this year to holding these politicians more accountable, holding us more accountable. You know, we shouldn't be playing the victim so much. You know, we aren't victims. We have been a victim of oppression and racism, but for the things that we can do, we can start our own businesses. We can really dig into and follow behind the Second Amendment right, where we need to, just like Frank said, we need to have a Winchester rifle in every home. You know, we need to be armed, well regulated. You know, militia. We can't sit here and keep depending on, oh, the government will take care of us, or the police will take care of us, and these same police are shooting us in the street. So who's going to take care of us then? If we allow our Second Amendment rights to be taken away, who's going to take care of us? So no, we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of one another and take care of ourselves. So I'm going to end it because I meant to end it a little bit earlier. But last thoughts, Jonathan. What are your thoughts? And then we'll move over to Frank, and then we're out of here.
Generally speaking, my thoughts are, this is what I'm gonna tell, everybody who looks like me. Embrace every constitutional and natural right that you have. Exercise them. Do not leave the exercise of natural and constitutional rights only for people of other populations in this country. I'm telling you, Black folk, embrace every right. Exercise those rights. Make the government respect your rights, and don't get stuck because somebody else is not doing something for you. If a resource hadn't manifested itself, then manifest a resource for your own self and keep it moving. If somebody's not cooperating with you, don't worry about that. Cooperate with yourself and keep it moving. We have to stop being a people group who are asking permission for anything at any level, whether that's at a personal level or at a local or state or federal political level. Stop asking permission. Do what you're going to do. Exercise your rights.
All right. Thank you. And if you need to go ahead and leave, because I held you a lot longer than I meant to, you can go ahead and leave out if you need to.
I want to hear my brother Frank. I want to hear his closing remarks.
All right, so Frank,
Jonathan, you didn't hemmed it up, but I'm gonna add to what Jonathan was saying. Learn, dissect this stuff, get past these talking points, and educate yourself. When you see these people on these networks, look these folks up. When they talking about these policies and stuff look the stuff up. Learn the history of this country. There is not a black history or a white history. There is history. Now, there are certain parts of the history they don't want us to know, because if a lot of these white people understood, they wouldn't like a lot of these rich people either. But knowledge, look behind the headline. We live in a place of deceit. We are lied to so much on a daily basis, and it's called news. Look behind it. And Black people, love yourselves, love your Blackness, and stop letting these people tell you that you are somehow inherently evil. Stop letting them hold us up to a whole standard that they don't even hold up to themselves. Learn about yourselves. Learn who you are. Read, dissect, ask questions. I don't care who that person is. Ask questions and seek knowledge. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, I completely agree. And thank you so much, Jonathan Cross II. He is again, I'll pop it up here for everybody to see. He's the founder and the president of Dauntless Tactical Training Centers of America. Currently, it's in Memphis right now. So go and check it out. For everybody that's tuned in and you agree with everything we were saying, seek him out. You can go to his website. He has a very beautiful website where he is training, us how to, and whoever, how to arm yourself in a very safe, efficient, and practical way to best protect your home, and also to attack the threat wherever you see that threat may be. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jonathan. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, or?
Oh no, I think that's fine right there. I mean, I'll just say what my mission is. My mission is to turn everyday people into advanced defenders of life, with every weapon platform available to you.
Amen. And Frank W. Johnson, he has a lot of things going on. He was running for office not too long ago. I'm pretty sure he has some other things lined up. As we heard, he's working on some things. He got some things cooking. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And go follow him on Instagram, Facebook. Same thing with Jonathan. Go to his website. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, like, share, subscribe to the Black Boss channel. Thank you for being here. We'll see you the next time. And take care. Love one another.